Today I want to talk about ad blocking and where I actually stand on it, because I don't think it's as simple as, oh, yes, you should block every single ad, and ads are inherently evil. If the person you're watching runs ads, they're a bad person. Or, no, you should never block ads, because if you block ads, then you're just stealing that creator's content. And if you do block ads, you should always be donating to pay for the ads that you're blocking. And this isn't going to be a, oh, woe is me, I'm such a poor YouTuber, please give me money sort of video. If you want to block ads on my videos, that's entirely fine, but at least listen to what I have to say about some of the common arguments in favor and against ad blocking. Now, I don't see ads as this great evil on the internet, something that should just go away, and we should go back to a time where there was just no ads on the internet and no one was getting paid. I want to see really high quality free content, and that content needs to be funded in some sort of way. While there were people making really cool stuff in the early days of the internet just because they wanted to make something cool, channels like, say, Linus Tech Tips, for example, would have never been able to exist without something like an ad model. Yes, now the channel is really, really big, they could do something like, say, have an exclusive paywall, for example, and they are doing that for having timed releases, but the problem with a paywall is it's really good for existing viewers, but getting someone to actually try out the paywall is very, very difficult. Free content makes stuff really accessible so that people can actually go and find it. But as crypto continues to gain a foothold, there are new models being tested, like Library with its trickling pre-mine, where even though there are no ads on the platform, when people actually watch your content, you still get paid a little bit of LBC for each of those views. Or you have, say, a staking system where you take a bit of your crypto and basically you lock it down, and then you get paid for basically locking a part of that crypto, similar to the way that mining would work, but not having as much of a power problem. But those sort of models are still very new, and we're not really sure how it would scale up to something at the level of, say, YouTube, for example. Plus, because it is a crypto system, it has a lot of fluctuation in the price. So right now, for creators actually being paid for their content, ads are probably the best model we have available. And yes, I can fully understand that some sort of ads probably shouldn't exist, like, say, having a video ad that has auto-playing audio, with the exception of something that happens on YouTube. If it's just on, like, a news website, for example, there should never be a video that auto-plays audio there. Or having, say, a sidebar ad that has a bunch of different flashing colors, or having a pop-up that appears over the window you're trying to see, or having an overlay that actually covers the content you're trying to see. These sort of ads probably shouldn't exist. But if it's, say, like a banner ad that's like, hey, buy a car, or a sidebar ad that's like, hey, here's this thing that'll replace your hair, things like that, I don't think those are inherently bad. Now, for me, I don't like to block ads on sites that I frequently visit that I know are safe. If it's something like a sketchy download website that I frequently visit, ad block on 100%. I don't know what sort of ads you got on your website, not going to try that out. But something like, say, YouTube or some random person's blog, those sort of sites, I will leave my ad block disabled. If I do go and enable the ad block, though, I think that it's sort of a moral obligation to donate a very small amount of money. So a single person looking at ads isn't really worth that much. If you go and donate $1, at least on YouTube, that'll cover you watching about 100 or 200 videos. I can't tell you what you need to do, but I do think you should be doing that. Now, one of the big reasons for blocking ads and trackers is because you want to have some sort of private experience on the internet. And I can fully understand this reason, and I can completely respect anyone who wants to block ads because of this. For some reason, we have this notion that in the real world, you have a right to privacy. People can't just go and, like, go up to your window, snoop in your house, and see exactly what you're doing. That would be illegal. But for some reason, on the internet, this just doesn't translate. A website can go and query your browser for anything that it will let it have, your cookies, the information about how it's running on your system, and this is just perfectly fine. And then this information we use to strengthen the ad networks, and if you don't want your information to be a part of this mass collection, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's perfectly fine. If someone chose to release content on the internet completely for free, and then you access that content completely for free, that's fine. Just because you release it for free and then you go and put ads on it doesn't mean that you have the right to be compensated for it. If you want to be compensated for it 100% of the time, it should have been behind a paywall. Another argument I frequently see is that ads are annoying, so I'm just going to go and block them. Now, I think that like sidebar ads and banner ads are perfectly fine. If you get annoyed by those, I don't know how you walk outside and see billboards and don't get annoyed by those. But when it comes to, say, like video ads on YouTube, I can understand why having, a 5-second video or a 30-second video just before watching the video you want to watch, or maybe in the middle of it, would definitely be a problem. For me, though, I don't really consider it that big of a deal. I'd much rather just watch the ad and then compensate the creator for it. But I don't think my time is so valuable. If your time is that valuable and 30 seconds is going to be something that makes or breaks your day, that's fine. Block the ads. I don't really care about a 5 or a 30-second ad because ultimately it's still better than what you'd get on TV anyway, so I'll accept it. Something that I won't accept is, have you ever been to one of those sketchy video sites where you click on the video player and then it shows you an ad, and then you click on it again, it shows you an ad, and again, and again, and again. You do this like 5 or 6 times, and then the video finally starts playing. If you have a website that does this, you do not deserve any compensation. You've wasted like 2 or 3 minutes of my day just trying to start playing this video. I don't care. I'm going to ad block on your site. You can get over it. While this isn't going to be as much of an issue on Linux, on Windows, there is also a safety argument to be made as well. So I'm sure if you've ever been on Windows on some sketchy website, you've seen one of those pop-ups that have been like, Windows Microsoft virus alert, your money is going to be sent to scammers unless you go and get this virus removed. Please call this number that's obviously not Microsoft number, and you call the number and you'll be sent to some very obviously not Microsoft support line. Or maybe you're trying to download a file from some sketchy site, and next to the actual download button, there is a fake download button in an ad, and when you go and click on that, it'll download some form of malware. Typically, this malware will target Windows just because Linux is a much smaller user base. You will see some that does target macOS, but macOS, because of the way it's designed, is a bit harder to attack. Windows is usually going to be the target. While people who actually understand computers usually aren't going to fall for problems like this, when people are, say, elderly or have just really never used a computer in their life, these sort of people are the ones who actually fall for these problems. So I'm going to say that for people like that, you should always have an ad blocker installed on their system, whether that is Ublock, Origin, or whatever the popular ad blocker is when you see this video, just to make sure they're going to be a little bit safer online, and you don't get a call in a couple of months saying, I have 20 toolbars installed in my web browser, how do I fix this? I don't think the ad revenue lost from people like that never seeing ads really justifies putting these people in extra danger just to make sure you get paid a couple of extra cents. Recently, I found my new favorite argument against ad blocking, and it's my favorite because it's really, really dumb. So the argument basically goes that if a publisher or a content creator funds their website or their videos or whatever content they have with ads, then blocking those ads is effectively the same as stealing that content. Basically, the idea is that the ads are basically a substitute for a paywall, and not accepting those ads would be the same thing as circumventing that paywall. Now, the reason why this is dumb is because I have every right to run whatever code I want on my system, so let's move away from running an ad blocking extension, and let's say that we have a blog that has some ads. Maybe it's a banner ad and maybe it's even a video ad. Doesn't matter, there's some sort of ads on this blog. And I go and open up this blog inside of a text-based browser. This browser doesn't have JavaScript support because it doesn't need to. It's a text-based browser. Effectively, I've just ad blocked. Is this still stealing the content? I don't think so. I don't think that a web browser has to have JavaScript enabled. Or what if you go and watch a YouTube video inside of MPV using that application that we're not exactly allowed to talk about on this website? You're watching the video, but you're not getting any ads. Is this stealing the content? I don't think so. I think that you can only make this argument if you only think that a web browser exists in the form that you're seeing with things like Firefox and Chrome. So if we make a web browser that still supports all of the websites we see today, but doesn't have any way to actually support the ads that we see on most websites, I don't think there's anything wrong with running that software. And then by following that logic, I don't think there's anything wrong with modifying Firefox or Chromium with some sort of ad blocking extension to effectively do the same thing. Now, there's one sort of ad I haven't talked about throughout this entire video, and that is an embedded ad. So rather than having an ad inserted into the video by YouTube, this is an ad the creator actually goes and records themselves and makes it just a part of the regular content. Or if you did the same thing in a blog, it would be, I guess, introducing some sort of product placement while you're actually discussing whatever you're trying to discuss. Maybe you're talking about how to set up a VPS, for example, and it's a sponsored post for Linode or something like that. That would be an embedded ad in a blog. I think that as people block ads, you're going to see more and more embedded ads. I hope that people actually do them in a, I guess, ethical way. The way that I like to do them is I will have a thing, I'll talk about it, then maybe at the middle of the video, but for what I'm doing now, I've only been doing it at the end, I will have an ad read there, because I want to make it so the people who just want to watch the content and just enjoy that, they can go and do so. And then people who actually want to stick around and support the channel, they can watch all the way to the end and then actually go and use the link and do all of that stuff. Whereas if you put it at the front, I don't know, I feel kind of weird about that. It feels like I'm just trying to shill the product rather than showing you something actually cool. Along with that, the reason I'm only with Linode is because it's the only company that's come to me that I actually think has a good product. Other ones I've sent away because either they're other hosting companies and that would be really weird working with two of them, or I really want nothing to do with them whatsoever. I'm not going to name names, but I know there are some people out there who just take any sponsorship that comes to them, and I can understand why. If you are trying to fund your content and you get a really high rate of ad blocking, you still want some way to actually make something from it. So then connecting this to the previous point, if someone has an embedded ad and you don't watch that ad or you don't click on the link and actually go and, get a VPS or whatever, is that stealing the content? Of course not. That's absolutely insane. I don't think that just because there's an ad there, you have to go and watch it or you have to go and actually use the link. So I think that's going to be basically everything for me. But before I go, I would like to thank my supporters. So a special thank you to Joachim, Donald, Michael, Andrew, Nathan, David, Will, Brennan, Chico, Bento, Jamie, Joseph, Mitchell, Petty, Stephen, 22 Shah, and all of my $2 supporters. If you'd like to go support work, there are links down below to my Patreon, Subscribe Star, LibrePay. I think my lowest tier on my Patreon is $1, but Patreon also has some fees on it, so you can go and use the PayPal link directly if you prefer that instead. I've also got my podcast, Tech Over Tea, available basically anywhere, and then this channel is also available on Odyssey and BitChute if you like to watch on a platform that isn't YouTube. So I think that's pretty much everything for me, and I'm out.